Mike. Well, hello, everyone. That was a great presentation from Lang. Just from a personal experience, people think that their gas bill when they travel is going to go down. My experience as a EV driver is that I actually spend more now because when I stop at these gas stations or Circle K stations or Sheets here, I end up spending like $20 on food or coffee, and then $5–10 on electricity. But definitely, my experience has been positive. I really enjoy this longer trips, and it's not as tiring. You have to stop every 2 hours to charge. So good. But now I want to focus more on back to residential trends. Yesterday we highlighted a lot of what automakers are doing. This is just a quick slide from Bloomberg New Energy Finance. Again, all these auto manufacturers and their trends. Essentially, we mentioned yesterday GM, Volvo, Jaguar. They're all going with electric vehicles. And this graph just points it out. We actually have the first one, BYD, a Chinese car manufacturer that already phased out, ICE vehicles. So they're here. On the charging infrastructure, fast chargers deliver about 50% of the energy demand, account for 60% of the charging investment. This is by 2040. But they're going to be less than 3% of the total connectors there. So we heard figures yesterday, 80 or 85% of all charging happens at home. So that's going to be the trend here. This is a slide I borrowed from Plug-in America. They did a survey. Turns out a lot of people are still using level 1 charging, 24%. From their survey. So they're just using a regular outlet, 120 volts, 12 amps. So it's a possibility there. Level 2, 71%, and then both 5%. I know from my experience, I've had an EV for 3 years, and I used level 1 for a year and a half until I finally decided to install level 2. Obviously, level 2 is a lot better. I don't have to think that much, plan ahead on trips. The other trend we're hearing about is bidirectional charging. These car manufacturers have announced their vehicles being compatible. Ford, VW, Rivian, in production, Nissan, Hyundai, Kia, Lucid. So it's not only Ford, but I'll focus on Ford because they're the ones who deliver that commercial during the Super Bowl and everyone's talking about it. This is their charging station. Right now it's out of stock apparently, but their website still announces that price. It's an 80 amp charger. I pulled actually the installation notes. It requires 100 amps breaker. So I mean, how many homes are going to be ready for this? Just curious. Probably none, right? So, but yeah, it's still out there. So, yeah, we'll see. So we at Schneider, we're starting to see a change. We have a lot of business in California. California is kind of leading the way, so we're getting a lot of that knowledge from there. But we see homes today as essentially a one-way energy consumption from the grid. There's might be inefficient lighting, heating, cooling systems. There might be separate systems for lighting, for heating, and you have traditional electrical distribution panels. But we're starting to see a shift. Homes of the future. We see them as a concept we call prosumer, which is just the fact of producing energy and being a consumer of energy. It's going to be self-generation and two-way connection to the grid. There's going to be home energy management devices. We see the smart thermostats are out there, but I think it's going to go beyond that. We're going to have smart energy centers, and the chargers themselves are going to be smart. They're going to be connected to these energy systems. So what's our approach for the prosumer? Again, prosumers will produce, consume, and control their own energy, both demand and supply. There's also another aspect of this prosumer. There's also the flexibility. So it's not only, could be still a one-way path, but there's going to be a flexibility. So we call that a flexumer. They don't produce energy, but they're connected to the utility. They respond to demand response events. They have smart systems to kind of turn off the HVAC on kind of decrease the demand side as needed. That's a smart thermostat. I see it. My bill with Duke Energy, I think I got a discount for signing up for that, $20 off my first bill. But they get to turn off my AC whenever they want to. Prosumer resources, there's going to be solar, there's going to be energy storage, EVs, smart devices, smart panels. And what's driving this? We see that's resiliency. Very important in California. The wildfires have really shifted the way utilities operate. There's a lot more blackouts now. So, resiliency is a big one. There's also savings, long-term, obviously. These systems are not going to be cheap, not initially. But sustainability is also very important. Prosumers are very strategic. They're very strategically important to Schneider Electric. We see them as a high growth, addressable market, both in commercial, industrial, and in residential. It aligns with our strategy and journey to new energy landscape, focused on energy management and sustainability. And it's a key differentiation to our business in electrical distribution. Some of the values that we seek to address from different players, homeowners, like I mentioned, they're looking for that resilience and sustainability. They're looking at critical load flexibility for prolonged outages. Again, think of California. If the utility cuts their power, they need that backup system. But also, and this is more for this area as well, automated time of use rate arbitrage. So essentially connecting their EV and automatically charging during the night when electricity is less expensive. There's also those incentives for VPP, the virtual power plant or the demand response participation. For home builders, there's opportunities to upsell. So now maybe a roof installer can also sell solar systems, or you can sell the battery backup systems. Or the VPP creates an opportunity for the utility companies. So you get to shape residential demand, grid service contracts. You increase the amount of available KW that you can shift. You minimize deployment cost and minimize user inconvenience. And for installers, reduce labor time, install electrical, PV, battery, EV systems, everything's integrated. Simple, repeatable, modular, easy to commission. So this is how we see solar installations with backup battery here on the right. You see the inverter there. So it's a large footprint. It doesn't look very good. But, that's the systems that some customers mostly in California, that they have in their homes. But we have a new product, and it's essentially it looks like this. So now this is the indoor view. You have here the EV charger. You have your inverter, your storage, and at the outside you have this smart panel. So let's see if this video works. Yeah. So we're essentially taking all those traditional solar and storage installation footprints, and we're merging it into an all-in-one installation footprint. So you have the Square D Energy Center, and you have an inverter with Easy Connect and your battery there. This is how it looks from the inside. So you have your automatic transfer switch capabilities inside the energy center. So it automatically transfers from your battery to your solar to your utility grid. There's also wiser energy sensors here. These essentially monitor every load, and it has an app. I'll show it here in a second, where you're able to monitor where your energy is used. So it makes the homeowner more conscious of where their energy is going. So this is the app. It's a Sense app. You essentially, right now, this is offered standalone as well. You're able to just go into your electrical panel and connect some meters that go on each breaker. And then you download the app. It automatically detects what kind of load you're using based on the profile. And it gives you insights into what you're using. Our grid to plug approach, we see more interaction between our energy sources, solar, the grid, backup power, and the energy usage control. So smart devices to kind of control where your energy is using, and everything's managed to this energy center and through the Wiser Energy app. So I think that's it. Well, something important to point out is the EV is right in the middle of it. So we see that as our entry point into these type of systems. Whenever people buy their first EV, they start paying attention to maybe solar systems, maybe backup power, and then slowly we start seeing them acquire all these smart devices.